Aloha. Aloha family. Taking a few minutes, let a few of you hop on the video here. Hi Deborah. Hi Darcy. Hey Jacqueline. Hi Miguel. Aloha from the big island of Hawaii. It's 3:30 in the afternoon here today, and I have something to share with you. I have been reading the Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, and I have been reading the next book in the collection, which is called The Mastery of Love. And it has been really amazing and so next level to read all of the things that he writes about in these books. They're not very big books. They're very simple, yet very direct and to the point of getting the point across of mastery of self and how to tune in and really be dialed in with our thought processes and our self-mastery, because that's very important. Many of us are going through our awakening. We're remembering our true innate nature, which is love, and how to give that and receive that in a way that feels unified and aligned. And for me personally, my mastery is the most important thing in my life. It is my awareness and the mindfulness that I have of myself, and it's the awareness and the mindfulness that I have with other people. And I find that communication is the biggest thing that gets us all a little mixed up. And so, as being as open and direct as we can be within ourselves, we can then transmute that same energy with others. And this first chapter is really, really wonderful. As I was reading the first chapter, I was like, wow, on so many things that he says. And I wanted to read it and share it with you, because I feel like the more we really can expand our minds about our energy, the way our thought processes work, the way the minds of others work, we can have success in all realms, in relationships with intimate partners, with our coworkers, our friends, our family, and most importantly, it shows us how to have a mindful relationship with ourselves. That's the most important thing. When we love ourselves, we're able to share that outwardly, as above, so below. So I'm going to read this first chapter of The Mastery of Love, which is really incredible. And the first chapter is called The Wounded Mind. It's 24 pages, so it's not very long. So I'll just get started. So it says, perhaps you have never thought about it. Perhaps you have never thought about it, but on one level or another, all of us are masters. We are masters because we have the power to create and to rule our own lives. Just as societies and religions around the world create incredible mythologies, we create our own. Our personal mythology is populated by heroes and villains, angels and demons, kings and commoners. We create an entire population in our mind, including multiple personalities for others. Then we master the image we are going to use in certain circumstances. We become artists of pretending and projecting our own images, and we master whatever we believe we are. When we meet other people, we classify them right away and assign them roles in our lives. We create an image for others according to what we believe they are. And we do the same thing for everyone and everything else around us. You have the power to create. Your power is so strong that whatever you believe comes true. You create yourself whatever you believe you are. You are the way you are because that is what you believe about yourself. Your whole reality, whatever you believe, is your creation. You have the same power as any other human in the world. The main difference between you and someone else is how you apply your power what you create with your power. You may be similar to others in many ways, but no one in the whole world lives her life the way you do. You have practiced all of your life to be what you are, and you do it so well that you master what you believe you are. You master your own personality, your own beliefs. You master every action, every reaction. You practice for years and years, and you achieve the level of mastery to be what you believe you are. Once we can see that all of us are masters, we can see what kind of mastery we have. When we are children, when we have a problem with someone, we get angry. For whatever reason, the anger pushes the problem away. We get the result we want. It happens a second time, we react with anger, and now we know if we get angry, we push the problem away. Then we practice and practice until we become the masters of anger. In the same way, we become masters of jealousy, masters of sadness, masters of self-rejection. All of our drama is suffering, and suffering is by practice. We make agreements with others. We practice that agreement until it becomes a whole mastery. The way we think, the way we feel, the way we act becomes so routine that we no longer need to put our attention on what we are doing. It is just by action-reaction that we behave a certain way. To become masters of love, we have to practice love. The art of relationship is also a whole mastery, and the only way to reach mastery is to practice. To master a relationship is therefore about action. This world for thousands of years, and the medical books, the psychiatric books, and the psychology books describe this disease as normal. They consider it normal, but I tell you, it is not normal. When the fear becomes too great, the reasoning mind starts to fail and can no longer take all those wounds with all the poison. In the psychology books, we call this a mental illness. We call it schizophrenia, paranoia, psychosis, but these diseases are created when the reasoning mind is so frightened and the wounds so painful that it becomes better to break contact with the outside world. Humans live in continuous fear of being hurt, and this creates a big drama wherever we go. The way humans relate to each other is so emotionally painful that for no apparent reason we get jealous, angry, envious, sad. To even say I love you can be frightening. But even if it's painful and fearful to have an emotional interaction, we still keep going. We enter in relationships, we get married, and we have children. In order to protect our emotional wounds, and because of our fear of being hurt, humans create something very sophisticated in the mind, a big denial system. In that denial system, we become the perfect liars. We lie so perfectly that we lie to ourselves, and we even believe our own lies. We don't notice that we are lying, and sometimes, even when we know we are lying, we justify the lie and excuse the lie to protect ourselves from the pain of our wounds. The denial system is like a wall of fog in front of our eyes that blinds us from seeing the truth. We wear a social mask because it's too painful to see ourselves or to let others see us as we really are. And the denial system lets us pretend that everyone believes what we want them to believe about us. We put up these barriers for protection and to keep other people away, but those barriers also keep us inside, restricting our freedom. Humans cover themselves and protect themselves, and when someone says, "You're pushing my buttons," it's not exactly true. What is true is that you are touching a wound in his mind, and he reacts because it hurts. When you are aware that everyone around you has emotional wounds with emotional poison, you can easily understand the relationship of humans and what the Toltecs call the dream of hell. From the Toltec perspective, everything we believe about ourselves and everything we know about our world is a dream. If you look at any religious description of hell, it is the same as human society, the way we dream. Hell is a place of suffering, a place of fear, a place of war and violence, a place of judgment and no justice, a place of punishment that never ends. These are humans versus humans in a jungle of predators. Humans full of judgment, full of blame, full of guilt, full of emotional poison, envy, anger, hurt, sadness, and suffering. We create all these little demons in our mind because we have learned to dream hell in our own life. Each of us creates a potential dream for our own self, but the humans before us created a big outside dream, the dream of human society. The outside dream, the dream of the planet, is a collective dream of billions of dreamers. The big dream includes all the rules of society, its laws, its religions, its different cultures, and the ways to be. All of this information stored inside our mind is like 1,000 voices talking to us all at once. The Toltecs call this mitote. The real us is pure love. We are life. The real us has nothing to do with the dream, but the mitote keeps us from seeing what we really are. When you see the dream from this perspective, and if you have the awareness of what you are, you see the nonsense behavior of humans and it becomes amusing. What for everyone else is a big drama, for you becomes a comedy. You can see humans suffering over something that is not important, that is not even real. But we have no choice. We are born into this society, we grow up in this society, and we learn to be like everyone else, playing nonsense all the time, competing with mere nonsense. Imagine that you could visit a planet where everyone has a different kind of emotional mind. The way they relate to each other is always in happiness, always in love, always in peace. Now imagine that one day you awake on this planet and you no longer have wounds in your emotional body. You are no longer afraid to be who you are. Whatever someone says about you, whatever they do, you don't take it personally and it doesn't hurt you anymore. You no longer need to protect yourself. You are not afraid to love, to share, to be open with your heart, but no one else is like you. How can you relate with people who are emotionally wounded and sick with fear? When a human is born, the emotional mind, the emotional body is completely healthy. Maybe around 3 or 4 years of age, the first wounds in the emotional body start to appear and get affected with emotional poison. But if you observe children who are 2 or 3 years old, if you see how they behave, they are playing all the time. You see them laughing all the time. Their imagination is so powerful, and the way they dream is an adventure of exploration. When something is wrong, they react and defend themselves, but then they just let go and turn their attention to the moment again, to play again, to explore and have fun again. They are living in the moment. They are not ashamed of the past. They are not worried about the future. Little children express what they feel, and they are not afraid to love. The happiest moments in our lives are when we are playing just like children, when we are singing and dancing, when we are exploring and creating just for fun. It is wonderful when we behave like a child because this is the normal human mind, the normal human tendency. As children, we are innocent, and it is normal for us to express love. But what happened to us? What has happened to the whole world? What has happened is that when we are children, the adults already have that mental disease and they are highly contagious. How do they pass this disease to us? They hook our attention and they teach us to be just like them. This is how we pass our disease to our children, and this is how our parents, our teachers, our older siblings, and the whole society of sick people infected us with that disease. They hooked our attention and put information into our mind through repetition. This is the way we learned. This is the way we program a human mind. The problem is the program, the information we have stored in our mind. By hooking the attention, we teach children a language, how to read, how to behave, how to dream. We domesticate humans the same way we domesticate a dog or any other animal, with punishment and reward. This is perfectly normal. What we call education is nothing but domestication of the human being. We are afraid to be punished, but later we are also afraid of not getting the reward, of not being good enough for mom or dad, sibling, or teacher. The need to be accepted is born. Before that, we don't care whether we are accepted or not. People's opinions are not important. They are not important because we just want to play and live in the present. The fear of not getting the reward becomes the fear of rejection. The fear of not being good enough for someone else is what makes us try to change, what makes us create an image. Then we try to project that image according to what they want us to be, just to be accepted, just to have the reward. We learn to pretend to be what we are not. We practice trying to be someone else just to be good enough for mom, for dad, for the teacher, for our religion, for whatever. We practice and we practice and we master how to be what we are not. Soon we forget who we really are and we start to live our images. We create not just one image, but many different images according to the different groups of people we associate with. We create an image at home, an image at school, and when we grow up, we create even more images. This is also true for a simple relationship between a man and a woman. The woman has an outer image that she tries to project to others, but when she is alone, she has another image of herself. The man also has an outer image and an inner image. The man also, by this time, they are adults. The inner image and the outer image are so different that they hardly match anymore. In the relationship between a man and a woman, there are 4 images at least. How can they really know each other? They don't. They can only try to understand the image, but there are more images to consider. When a man meets a woman, he makes an image of her from his point of view, and the woman makes an image of the man from her point of view. Then he tries to make her fit the image he makes for her, and she tries to make him fit the image she makes for him. Now there are 6 images between them. Of course they are lying to each other, even if they don't know they are lying. Their relationship is based on fear. It is based on lies. It's not based on truth because they cannot see through all the fog. In the period when we are little children, there is no conflict with the images we pretend to be. Our images are not really challenged until we begin to interact with the outside world and no longer have our parents' protection. This is why being a teenager is particularly difficult. Even if we are prepared to support and defend our images, as soon as we try to project our image to the outside world, the world fights back. The outside world starts proving to us, not just privately but publicly, that we are not what we pretend to be. Let's take the example of a boy, a teenage boy who pretends to be very intelligent. He goes to a debate at school, and in the debate, someone who is more intelligent and more prepared wins the debate and makes him look ridiculous in front of everyone. He will try to explain and excuse and justify his image in front of his peers. He will be so kind to everyone and will try to save his image in front of them, but he knows he is lying. Of course, he tries his best not to break in front of his peers, but as soon as he is alone and sees himself in the mirror, he goes and breaks the mirror. He hates himself. He feels that he is so stupid, that he is the worst. There is a big discrepancy between the inner image and the image he tries to project to the outside world. The bigger the discrepancy, the more difficult the adaptation to this society dream and the less love he will have for himself. Between the image he pretends to be and the inner image when he is alone are lies and more lies. Both images are completely out of touch with the reality. They are false, but he doesn't see that. Maybe someone else can see that, but he is completely blind. His denial system tries to protect the wounds, but the wounds are real, and he is hurting because he is trying so hard to defend an image. When we are children, we learn that everyone's opinions are important, and we rule our lives according to those opinions. A simple opinion from someone can put us deeper into hell, an opinion that is not even true. You look ugly, you are wrong, you are stupid. Opinions have a lot of power over the nonsense behavior of people who live in hell. This is why we need to hear that we are good, that we are doing well, that we are beautiful. How do I look? How was what I said? How am I doing? We need to hear the opinions of others because we are domesticated and we can be manipulated by those opinions. This is why we seek recognition from other people. We need emotional support from other people. We need to be accepted by the outside dream via other people. This is why teenagers drink alcohol, take drugs, or start smoking. It is just to be accepted by other people who have all those opinions. It is considered to be cool. So many humans are suffering because of all the false images we try to project. Humans pretend to be something very important, but at the same time, we believe we are nothing. We work so hard to be someone in that society dream, to be recognized and approved by others. We try so hard to be important, to be a winner, to be powerful, to be rich, to be famous, to express our personal dream, and to impose our dream onto other people around us. Why? Because humans believe the dream is real and we take it very seriously. So that is chapter 1 in this book, and it blew me away right away because it's so true. It made me step outside of my mind even more to see how it really does start from when we're young. And when we recognize that the outside world has put all of these opinions and the way that we're supposed to do things, and if we're not, we're shamed. It's ridiculous, and it is nonsense. You know, I go through these things too. I go through what I feel the opinions of others have about me, and I use it to check my opinion of myself. That's where the mastery comes in, is that the outside world is a projection of the way we feel within ourselves. If you find yourself angry with people a lot and you're dissatisfied with your job and you're not happy in your marriage and you don't have enough to eat, or you think you don't have enough money to go on vacation, all of those things are projections, they're perceptions. And in this life, we have a choice. We have a choice to execute the energy to create the reality that we want. We choose to put ourselves in certain pathways, and that has results. And so when we see that we can make choices, we can shift the way our life is evolving. For me personally, I'm getting back around to being really firmly in my truth and learning what that truth is every day. My truth changes because we change as humans. Our DNA is constantly being regenerated. We're experiencing all these cosmic upgrades, and our perception changes all the time. And it's okay that we choose to change who we are whenever we want. I find that humans we can really get stuck in our minds of thinking that things have to be a specific way, and if we even think about changing it, then we're wrong, or we're feeling shame that someone else told us so, and we just can't prove them right. Like that ego steps in, and that ego, when it's unaligned like that, if it's causing you anger, if it's causing you sadness, if it's causing you to rebel against someone, it's really important to take a step back and say, whoa. What is it about me that is causing me to feel and think and react this way about these people and this job and this food and this car or whatever is going on in life? Because the dream is an illusion, because it's recreated constantly. And so realizing that we can really shift our reality makes us realize that we are masters of our own power, self-empowerment. Just like what he says in the book, I just finished reading the first chapter in The Mastery of Love, for those of you who were just tuning in. All of it's a story, and it's a story that we've agreed to at some point in life. Like, if you don't like something, that's you telling you that you should shift it, whatever it is. And that's where I find my strength and my mastery. If I feel a vibration coming from someone, I check myself first to see what I can do to shift my reaction. And then if it's important enough, I'll have a conversation with that person. And I make sure that I talk about it from my perspective. This is the way I feel about what I see. This is the way I feel about the behavior that you're showing me. Is that what it means? Like, question the person and let them answer for themselves versus pointing fingers and telling someone what they're doing. Because I can tell you that I have been misjudged most of my life. I have been judged incorrectly about the person that I was because I wasn't true to myself. I was speaking a lot of truth, but number one, I was speaking incorrectly. And I wasn't dialed into my own self-love. And that plays into huge matters with how we react to other people. I'm learning to come more from a frame of my heart versus my mind. And I get really in this space right here. And I realize that when things get distorted, I have to turn it around and put it back to my heart space, because that is where we become more compassionate. That is where we become more understanding. That is where we become less judging. And we can really open up a sacred space for others to step into so that they can be vulnerable too. Listen, just like the book says, we're all bruised, we're wounded, our emotional, physical bodies are wounded. So if we keep coming at people, if we keep coming at ourselves, and we keep coming at everything in our lives from a wounded standpoint, we're just going to keep wounding other people, and we're not going to heal the wounds in our emotional and our physical body. The emotional body plays into the physical body hugely. There are so many medical conditions that have a name to them that a lot of people take drugs and things like that for, that are created because of the emotional state of the mind. Therefore, it infuses the acidity into the vessel. And so literally healing ourselves begins with connecting to our heart space, realizing that everything that happened to us in our past is a story that we no longer have to agree to. And then we can start letting those things go. All we have to do is make the recognition that those things are a story and that they no longer relate to us. And they just start going away automatically. We really don't even have to put in that much work. It's backwards in this society. We think we have to work to make all this money, and we have to do so hard to get spiritual, and we have to do all this hard work to get enlightened, and we don't. The work comes as a progression. We can enjoy life and heal our wounds at the same time. That's the beauty. The mind is very simple. We tell our mind what to do, and it starts to do it. It's really simple to heal. And so I feel as though when we can step outside of the bruises, of the triggers, of the wounds to our physical and our emotional body, we can start to heal ourselves in huge ways, instantaneous a lot of the time. I've been working a lot of my life on this. This didn't just start for me. And I realized that it has to do with the stories that we tell ourselves, the thoughts that we agree to in our mind. Even for me personally, like if I feel myself starting to have disdain for something or someone in my psyche, I immediately grab that frequency so that I can transmute it. Because those vibrations no longer resonate to my frequency, my innate nature, which is love, which is mindfulness, which is a high mind of thinking outside of my own self. Now, I have to work harder than other times to really get dialed into that. Yet that's the innate nature, it's peace. And if we remind ourselves, oh yeah, our innate nature is peace and love, that is what I'm creating in my life. And that's what I tell people too. If I'm experiencing something with someone that doesn't feel good, I'd say, hey, I'm creating peace in my life. Let's talk about this in a peaceful way so that we can create peace together. Because we all have our individual dreams. And when we get into relationships with people, whether it's intimate or not, we have one half of a dream, they have one half of a dream, and they're separate forever, although we intertwine dreams with other people. And so the dreams that we tell ourselves, whether it's in a high light or a lower light, are the stories that we've agreed to in our life. All the way that everyone's treated us, all of the things that everyone says, and all of the things that we've told ourselves. If you're walking around talking to people about how you are ugly, or you're not pretty, or you're not good enough, or you're in constant pain, or your job sucks, or if you're like, that is just emotional poison spewing out of a wounded body, out of a wounded psyche. And so pay attention to the way you speak to others and the way that others speak to you, because it's all a reflection. And we can really get to see our own internal wisdom, our own internal healing and wounds, simply by letting others speak, others act. That is the mastery of as above, so below. We learn so much just by looking at the mirror of other people. And so for me, that's when I realized, like, it's hard for me, or it's difficult for me. I don't stay angry at people or upset or judge or even with myself, because I realized that even though I really am in this beautiful place of mastery within myself, within this amazing peace within myself, I still get triggered. I still interact with other humans and their triggers, and that can really rev me up sometimes. And so I realized that while I have the innate nature of love, I am in a human body that still has programming and it still comes up. And so when those things come up, I find it's energetically responsible for me to grab that energy and to make it correct with the person that I am engaging with, and especially myself. We can be really hard on ourselves, family, and there's no reason for that other than it's old programming. That's it. It doesn't have to be there. Yes, it teaches us lessons, but we can learn lessons other ways. It's really easy. We get to pick and choose the story that we believe. And if you're walking around telling stories that other people told you and you aren't telling your own, that's a great way to stop and pause and take a look and say, how much of all of this am I agreeing to? How much of this story is me? And that's the beautiful thing about really opening up within and being open and vulnerable to speak truth. And not everyone's going to accept your truth, and that's okay. That doesn't mean we're supposed to stop speaking our truth. It's all about the way we deliver it and the story that we tell ourselves. And placing blame on others doesn't get us anywhere. When we engage with other people or we're in relationships and we point fingers and say, well, you do this and you do that, it's like, whoa, where is the self-responsibility in this? What am I doing to initiate this? You know, since I got activated in 2016 and I've really been going deep within my own psyche, it's been a trip to go through the mind to see. And I realized this, that the first couple of years, I was very isolated and introverted while I became opening in my channel and the sensitivity to energy. And now that I'm engaging more with the outside world and not just online, I realized that we can only do so much soul work alone. We must have the reflection of other people. We need that mirror to trigger us, for us to really get in and look to see what it is that's going on within us. Reading this book, I'm almost done with it. I was triggered a lot reading this book because I saw things about my character from the past and some things I still hold on to that didn't make me feel good. I thought I was much greater in my mastery than I am, and I can tell you that it's a process. It's a process of eliminating, it's a process of gathering, it's a process of being open to give and to receive. Receiving is a lot of the times a greater feat than giving. And so, it's about not taking this human experience so personally. We can't take it personally or it makes us crazy. If you get mad at every person that you meet out in public that says something snarky to you or bumps into you or that isn't paying attention to you, well, that's the ego. We don't know what someone else has got going on. We don't know. And so that's why it's so important to be grounded and to focus and to spend time to isolate and be alone and really analyze and then be able to come back out and project the love that we have within ourselves instead of spewing all this emotional poison that we do to each other. And it's okay that we do that. That's the most important thing. Like, we have to realize it's okay. If someone doesn't like us because of something we said, fine. We get to practice with the next human. There's like billions of us here. And so it's just, and all the cosmic ETs that are here too, which is awesome. And so we have to laugh, we have to have fun, and we have to let the inner child out and go back to that unwounded state where we're taking nothing personally and just dealing with emotion in the present moment. And then go back to playing. It's so much more fun. It's so much more lighter. And not only that, but that's the vibration we really want to share with other people. We want to go out and spread the love and the words that we choose versus spreading all the things that are wrong, that we're not even paying attention to and changing in the first place. We have to take responsibility for ourselves. No one else is going to do it for us. No one's going to love us. No one's going to make us happy. No one's going to fill the void but us. Stand in the mirror. Tell yourself you love yourself until you start crying. I've done that before, and it's powerful. One time I did it, and I just kept saying, I love myself, I love myself, I love myself over and over again. And for like 10 minutes, and then boom, I finally broke. I finally was able to reach the other side of that and purge that energy out. Because that's what it is. It's all energy. And we, humans, we can really, really attach and hold on to the words of others and make those words our story. So choose the words that you accept. Choose the people that you accept. We get to have those choices. We show other humans how to love us based on our own self-love. We get into relationships, and if we're wounded, we're going to keep getting wounded because that's the energy we're projecting, and that's just the truth. And if someone else is wounded and we get in a relationship with them, we're going to be wounded too because they're wounded. So it's important to keep talking, keep being quiet, find a balance. It's great. And most importantly, have fun. Get out in nature and open a window and let the breeze come through and, take it easy and be gentle. Thanks for tuning in today. I love you all so much, and I share my love so much. It just feels so good because we just need each other to reflect and to realize it's all okay. And it's all going to be okay because it is. I love you to the moon.